Welcome to the Inspired by Jacqueline podcast, a refreshing place for women struggling with entrepreneurship, faith, or infertility. Stay tuned for today's episode. Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Inspired by Jacqueline. So our special guest today, I connected with her and it's just been beautiful every single time I'm around her. So I am excited to introduce you to her. Her name is Anny, and it's with a Y because that is how special she is. Okay. So Anny Martinez is a confidence coach. She's a speaker, corporate VP, and an entrepreneur. She helps high achieving women find their voice, own their power, and advocate for what they deserve both in business and in life. And if, for those of you tuning in all these episodes, you know that that's something that I'm very, very passionate about having in a conversation and discussions. With a career leading multi-million-dollar client accounts and now coaching women across industries, Anny blends real world leadership experience with empowering strategies to help women step into their next level of confidence and success. So, Anny, welcome.
Thank you, Jacqueline. I am so excited to be here. And can I just say, listening to you say all that literally made my heart flutter. Because although I do all those things, to hear somebody say it out loud just kind of makes me feel so full inside. So thank you for having me. I'm really, really excited about this conversation.
Yeah, and I'm going to flip something around because I usually ask this question towards the end, the middle, but I'm going to start with it because I just feel like you have so many superpowers that I would love to know if you had a superpower, what would it be?
We just talked about this literally right before we started the recording, and it would be time. I need more time in the day. I find that I want to do so much and I want to, help the people that I work with in my 9 to 5, and then give all that more time to the women that I'm coaching, but then be present for my family and my mom and my son and my husband. And so sometimes we as women want to do too much. We get pulled in so many different directions.
Hmm.
And with that comes a sense of, am I doing enough for everyone? And we sometimes forget ourselves. So having a little bit more time would be an amazing superpower,
Please,
but I'm also
please.
learning to give myself some grace.
Yes. Oh my God, you just preached a whole like sermon right there. Like women should be like, wait, that's me, or that was me, or yeah, I'm still going through that. It's really so real. So time definitely doesn't wait for you. And I can see why that would be something that you would want. And with all of your experience and expertise, helping other women go into this pattern and mindset of, yeah, how do I want to manage my time? Right. So thank you for sharing that. And with that said, how do you start your mornings?
They look different every day. I definitely get up and definitely pray and just set my intentions for the day, which are really important for me, which are, today give me the strength to, if I have an important meeting, right, to show up with confidence and show up and bring value and show up and be well spoken and articulate the points that I want to get across. So I'm always very thankful. I then drive my son to school because I have a child. Actually, now he's driving me because he has his permit. So
Oh,
we're
wow.
practicing. So every morning he drives to school. I hold on really tight to
I
the
was going to
things around
ask
me.
you that. Like,
No, he's doing really well, but all right. I'm trying not to
hey,
make him, yes, I'm trying not to make him nervous with my reactions. So I just try to sip my coffee and breathe. And then I come back home. I check my calendar for the day. I do all my content, whether it's LinkedIn content or my Instagram content. So I do all that myself. So I typically try and batch and then I prepare. I prepare for any upcoming meetings that I have. I walk my dog. Like I try and start my mornings. I try to give myself an hour where I'm prioritizing the things that are important for the day, which is also extremely important for us. Everything is not a priority.
Mm.
And so sometimes our days get so full and we want to make sure we cross everything off of the list. But we have to also, again, manage our time and give ourselves the grace to understand what's today's priority. And whatever I can't get to today, we'll have to move into tomorrow. And so I always like to start my days with understanding what are today's priorities and then starting the day with that.
Yeah. And it's interesting how you share that because, like, for me, the two things for me is my prayers, that's a constant, and then my cafecito. But once that is set, like every day is different. And I do agree, I learned along the way that my priorities, I can't accomplish all of them. And it's like we were taught, or I was taught, that everything's a priority, but it's not.
Mhm.
With that said, I learned how to say, okay, what are my top two or three out of the list so that I can breathe? And if I
Mhm.
can accomplish another one, then I will. But at least that allowed me to change the mindset of I have to do all of this today.
Yeah. I think I was also brought up the same way. I think culturally we're brought up with a sense of urgency where everything is important. And even if that means your own sanity or your own health, we have to finish whatever it is, right? And make sure that everything else is taken care of before ourselves. And I lived like that for a very long time, where it was just like if I didn't finish a project or if I didn't do something that I said I was going to do with a family member, I would feel guilt because everything was a priority, everything was important, everyone was important except me. And when I started in this journey, I was like, no, I can't be there for anyone else. I can't show up as my best self and fully if I'm not giving myself the grace that I need to prioritize myself in all of these spaces and all of the things that we're trying to do and in all of the people that we're trying to be for everyone.
Yeah.
So it's really, really important. And then throughout the day, also, like give yourself time, stop to breathe, go outside and get some air. As a VP in my role, I encourage the people that I work with every day, like take 10 minutes and go outside. Just
Yeah.
sit in the air, get some sun, walk your dog, whatever it is, have an afternoon cafecito without being in front of the computer. Like
Yeah.
take some time to reset your energy because it's really important.
Yeah, and one thing that I'll share that I found on your Instagram, one of your Instagram posts, is that you shared after 20 years in corporate, I carry the weight of every microaggression, every missed promotion, every time I was silenced, dismissed, or underestimated. Not just for being a woman, but for being a Latina woman in rooms never meant for me. When you hear that comment that you posted, like, what does that make you feel?
It still makes me sad that that was once where I was, but it also excites me or brings me joy to know that I'm no longer that person. And now I'm helping other women find that voice and fit into those rooms. And
Mm.
it's the reason why I started this journey, this coaching journey, is because I didn't have anyone that looked like me when I started corporate. I started corporate over 20 years ago, and I was an associate, my first job pretty much out of college. I didn't know anything. I just knew that I wanted to prove myself and do whatever I needed to do to get promoted, but those promotions never came easy. And sometimes they never came at all. And I was passed up by people who were less qualified because they knew the right person or because they were the right color. And that is unfortunately it's a reality. It's a reality. And so, also you find that you tone yourself down to fit the rooms. So you don't want to speak up, you're afraid to raise your hand. And I started to do that. And also what happens with that is you give other people the opportunities that were meant for you because all those other people are speaking up and they're raising their hand.
Mhm.
And so when I hear you say that again, it's funny because when you hear somebody else say something back to you, it brings out so many feelings and emotions. But I'm just like, I'm proud of where I am today. Today, I'm a VP at a multi-million dollar agency. I have experienced a lot of bias and microaggressions, and I've cried a lot in this journey to get to where I am today. I've carried the weight of, the women before me. It hasn't been an easy journey, but I would say if I didn't go through this journey, I wouldn't be able to teach the women that what I teach them today. So like, I guess everything happens for a reason, Jacqueline. I don't know.
No, I love that. And I know that we're going to get to speaking about entrepreneurship, but these few words that you shared in your post really hit a chord with me because I mean, my past career was in corporate
Mhm.
America. And like you said, the other people who had less experience and them asking and getting. And it's like, what the
Mhm.
heck just happened? Like, why is that person just prancing around like they have nothing to do? And then I'm over here
Yeah.
sweating and doing the work. And I was getting so frustrated until there was one job that I had that I saw and knew what my fullest potential was. And I owned up to standing my ground. And I'm not telling anyone because I've shared this story in other episodes before. So I have to put a disclaimer there. I'm not telling you to quit your job right now. But for me, I was going through this immense amount of work and not full support from the leaders of the organization, and I needed their support in order to do my job well. And because of that lack of support, I was suffering from anxiety. And I had one anxiety attack. And after that, I spoke to my husband at that time and I said, hey, if this happens again, that's it. But we're having conversations to see if I can stop working because I just don't want to be like in that moment. And so I felt comfortable enough that, okay, I've had this discussion. And a few months after that, it happened again. And I went into my office, and I was a manager at that time. Went into my office, closed the door, grabbed my stuff, opened the door, and told my staff, tell my boss and everybody else that I quit. Ciao. That
Wow.
was the
Amazing.
most like, oh my gosh, moment of my life that everybody was calling me left and right. I worked in payroll at the time. And so I reported to, I forgot what his title was, but he was under the controller and senior management. And then I didn't want to speak to him because he wasn't being supportive. So the controller called me and I was like, these are my demands. And I agreed to coming back to finish a project versus going to the department I was managing. I had the choice. I told them, this is where I want to sit in this other office. And you need to hire someone to do that other role because I was doing two roles at the same time. And I got everything that I wanted from me quitting to getting severance to getting my vacation and everything like that. So when I started hearing you and the confidence, like I've been there, I did it. It's possible. Now, again, disclaimer, I'm not telling nobody to quit, but what I want people to get out of this conversation, and I know you'll chime into it, is you have the power of owning your value and the control on how you want people to perceive you and respect you.
Going back to something you said earlier about other people were asking and you weren't, and you saw other people getting it, whether it was the promotion or the raise, what happens is no one teaches us. No one says, this is how you empower yourself to have these difficult conversations. This is how you empower yourself to talk about the value that you bring to the table, whatever that table is. I always like to say that, right? And it could be the boardroom, and sometimes it's at home. Sometimes we're not being heard at home. And so that's why I say how to lead in life and in work, because we need to have control and to feel value and to feel confident in every situation within our lives. It's not a choice or it's not situational. Like this is something, and I always say, like, it's not just a feeling, right? It's something that you have. You wake up every day and you feel confident to have any conversation with anyone. But again, like no one ever teaches us how to ask for things. And so because we're not taught, we don't understand our value. We don't recognize it. You found that, right, when you walked
Mhm.
out because you'd had enough. And then when they called you back, you're like, oh, wait, there, I have value. And now you had the upper hand to ask for those things. And sometimes it's a moment that catapults you into like that F that moment, right? Where you're just like, care. I don't have anything to lose. I'm going to ask for what I want. And if you give it to me, great. And if you don't, then that's fine too. And that's when you find the value. And sometimes happens that way.
Yeah, and to your point, like I said, I worked in payroll for many years, and I saw that people not like us were
Mhm.
asking as they're being hired. And I was like, what is this? Like, how is this done? And like you said, we're not taught this to ask for
Mm-mm.
these big bonuses, to ask for all of these different payouts at certain times.
Yeah. We don't even understand most of the time that we can negotiate an offer. So if you're starting a job and they present you with a salary and they're like, oh, this is the salary range, we can say, which a lot of people understand how to, that is not where I was hoping to be. This is where I need to be.
Yeah.
And start negotiating there. We can negotiate not just salaries, we can negotiate time off, we can negotiate. There's so many things we're not taught. And
Yeah.
so that's why this work is so important to me because, now I can and I have taught women like of all walks of life, like this is walk into that room, fine, they can't meet your salary expectations. These are the other things you're going to ask for. Are you ready for a promotion? Let's get you set to have that conversation as well. And I love it. Like I feel so good when I get a message from someone. I was working with this young lady who got her bachelor's degree, didn't know what she wanted to do afterwards. And I spent some time with her, and her mom sent me the most beautiful message like, thank you so much for helping her understand like what her path is for her future. And
Yeah.
it just fills me up. I'm just like, I love that I'm changing people's lives in that way.
So let's now go back into that entrepreneurial,
Yeah.
experience and entering into that. I know you shared a little bit in between our earlier talk in reference to this is how you got to this coaching, journey. Share a little bit more as to when it started, how it started, what sparked the idea.
I've been coaching and mentoring women for probably decades without even knowing it. I think it's just
Mhm.
something that's always been in me to help. But it was, just like something I did if someone came into my office and they were like, hey, like, can you help me? And I would say about a year and a half ago, I started to do it more often and intentionally. And last year, I was like, why am I not doing this like as a full time next to my other full time? Yeah. And so I created Anny Martinez, the confidence and career coach. And it's been an amazing journey. I started it because I wanted to put myself out there, right? Like I actually wanted to launch a business where I was visible to the women who needed my help. When I was doing it a year ago, I was just visible to the women around, the women that I was working with, or friends of a friend who needed some additional help or support. And I was like, I'm keeping myself a secret. And I just want to be able to put myself out there for anyone. And I know there are a lot of us who could use this type of help, mentoring and coaching. And I started this company. And it's hard to say because like I talk to people and I'm like, I do this because I love it. And they're like, yeah, but also like you're running a full legitimate business
Business.
now,
Yeah.
So to put myself in that like CEO, entrepreneur
Yeah.
seat. So I'm excited to what the future holds. I'm doing a lot. It was like dormant for a little while where I was like, oh, I'll post. And now it's like things are happening and I'm so grateful for it. And then going back to time, I'm like, I need two more of me to just
Yeah.
like do all the things. But I feel so blessed and I'm so excited to see what the rest of this holds. The goal is to speak to women in rooms that my voice needs to be heard.
Mhm.
And to hopefully have them walk out of those rooms feeling empowered and a little bit more confident than they felt walking in and understanding what it's like to really advocate for yourself and like also know your value. And we deserve to be top shelf. We deserve to be heard and held to a high standard because we have to hold ourselves to a high standard.
Yeah, and one of the things that comes to mind, you and I spoke at an event at the same time, and there was one other speaker who said it's okay to be selfish,
Yeah.
right? And it's like sometimes we take that word and it's like, oh, does that mean I'm like my ego is going high? No, that just means it's okay to be ourselves and to want more and to be at the level of accepting and appreciating what we do for
Yes.
ourselves to
And
get to
it's
that.
okay to think you're too good for something. Like that's okay to say to yourself, I don't want to do that. Like I do that all the time in any situation. Like I'm like, I don't want to. And that's it. Period. End of story. I don't explain why, which is also something I used to do, like the why. Like now I'm just like, sometimes you're just too good or you don't feel like entering a specific space or having a conversation or entertaining something that you know is not going to make you feel good or bring any value into your life. And like, it's okay to say, I don't want to. I want to be selfish with my time. I want to be selfish with my space. And I don't want to give that, whatever that is, any energy. Like, it's okay to do that.
Oh, you're giving me goosebumps because, girl, we are like so on the same page, okay? That's where I'm at for sure. No explanation, period.
Yeah,
Punto,
period. That's
that's it.
punto. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Se
So,
acabó.
what is it about women and that fear factor related to speaking up for themselves?
I think it's cultural. I think growing up, we were not meant to be hurt. And we were taught to do for everyone else and put ourselves last. And it may be more like my generation, right? Like I can't speak for everyone, but I think most Latina women that I speak to that come from my generation, we all have very similar stories. And that is to don't ask questions, don't ask for more. Just take what is given to you and deal with it. And we bring that same lesson or what we were taught into every aspect of our lives, whether it's work or home. We enter with that same mindset. So when we start our careers, it's typically let me just not say anything and then hopefully I'll get something in return, whether it's a raise or a promotion, but I'm not going to ask for it because I don't want to cause trouble and I don't want to be the big mouth. Like when we were growing up, our
Mhm.
parents would be like, cállate, tú habla mucho or whatever. And it's like, these are things that we're taught. And then similar for our home lives, we're taught to take care of everyone else without complaining and put ourselves last. We eat last. We go to sleep last. Everything else has to be taken care of before we put ourselves first. And that fear is something that we are, I think, taught growing up because if we don't stay in line, we get yelled at or we get punished. And
Yeah.
so we bring that same fear into our adult lives. And so a lot of the work that I do is that work. Like it's not just, oh, let me teach you how to have a difficult conversation. It's why are you afraid to have a difficult conversation? Where does that fear come from? Let's talk through that first because without doing that internal work, you're never going to be able to do it. It took me years, honestly. It took me a long time to get to where I am today, but that it's work that is extremely necessary. So we have to understand and unpack why the fear is happening. Like, why are you afraid to speak up? Why are you afraid to ask for things? Once we unpack that, we can then start to use the tools, and then you can go in and ask for that $10,000 promotion.
So, share the full name of your company. And I know it starts with confidence. So, I want you to give me a few words as to why confidence and what are we lacking when it comes to that.
So it's Anny Martinez, the confidence and career coach. Sometimes those two words play around. Either way, confidence is the pillar of what I do or what I lead with. Like, I feel like there is nothing that we can't, honestly, that we can't walk through without when we have enough confidence to do it. I've heard also like lately, I'm like, there's a lot of confidence comes around everywhere. Like I'm like, everything I see now is confidence, confidence, confidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like the word is sometimes overused, but I feel like the way that I like to describe it is as a state of being. Like
Mm,
it's not situational. You can feel confident if you get dressed up and you do your hair, you go to the hair salon and you walk out of there and you're like, yes, girl, my hair is done and I'm cute.
yeah.
And then you wake up the next day and you sweat your hair out and you're like, oh, now I don't feel great anymore.
Mhm.
That's temporary. So, like the type of confidence that I build, that I live in, that I want other women to experience is a state of being where you wake up and you are confident. No one can shake that. No one can take that from you. And it doesn't matter the situation. If you have a difficult conversation with someone and they say things to you, like that is a microaggression or that does put you down, like that does not shake who you are. That doesn't take away or make you feel any less than. You walk out of that room knowing exactly who you are and confident in yourself. Like that is what I want women to feel every single day because it's how I feel. And it's empowering. And that's when you feel the value. On the other side of that is the career coaching, which is also extremely important because it's number one, what I do
Mhm.
every single day, right? Like I'm still very much in corporate America, and I want women to feel empowered to walk into boardrooms and negotiate and have client conversations that make them feel good about themselves, but they also understand the value that they bring into every conversation, into every boardroom, and how to have difficult conversations if they have to advocate for themselves. If you get passed up for a promotion, ask why. If you
Mhm.
know that you deserve to be there and you just walk away and don't ask why, then you're never going to learn and prepare yourself for the next time. But the truth is, we're afraid to ask why. We're scared because we don't want to ruffle feathers. So we
Yeah.
just wait to see if maybe it's next time. And the next time comes and it's not that time. And so we need to shake the fear of asking questions that are going to benefit our future and our careers. So.
Yeah. And I know that you and I have spoken about setbacks, right? But can you share a bit about how a setback can be turned into a growth opportunity?
Yeah. I actually just experienced a huge setback in June, so not that long ago. And I don't know, I think maybe you and I talked about this, but
Mhm.
in June, I was laid off extremely unexpectedly from a company that I'd been in for 5 years. And so I was not expecting it at all. It was a Monday afternoon, and I got a call, and I was like, huh? No notice, no knowledge, nothing. And so that knocked me off my chair. Like I was just like, what just happened? And there are so many mixed emotions that happen when you spend 5 years at a company and you dedicate so much time to the growth of not just the company itself, but also the people in the company. And you build these amazing relationships. And so that was a setback for me because I didn't have a plan. I mean, I was very much involved with this company and being the CEO here, but I'm still growing this company, right? Like, so that 9 to 5, that corporate job is number one, something that is really a big piece of who I am. I've been doing it for over 20 years. But what I learned was it's not my identity. There is someone else other than Annie, the corporate person. But that's the only world I knew. So what happened was it gave me time to learn this person, not corporate America Annie, but just like another version of me. And then it gave me more time to dedicate to this, to my coaching business. And so I've spent the past 3 months really diving into meeting people like you and networking and going to events and just giving more time to my clients and really refining also how I want to show up in this business as Anny Martinez, the career and confidence coach, rebranding myself in this space. So it gave me the time to do that I didn't have otherwise, right? Because I was doing was a very big part of who I was. But then it also opened the door for another opportunity because at the start of September, I started a new role as VP at a new agency. And so while it was a setback, it gave me the time to focus on what I think God needed my plan. Like I think God pushed that out of my way to make space for me to follow this a little bit and give this Anny Martinez, the confidence coach business, time and attention, and then put me back into a space where I really do love the corporate side of what I do. I love being strategic and I love coaching younger people in that space who are just coming into corporate America, which is again what I wish I had. But it was a setback that I turned into a dream. Like I feel really good about where the business is going, where I'm going, this new job, and none of that would have happened if I was still at the old job. So you got to make space sometimes. Yeah, it was
So
great.
I don't know if you're ready for this. I was laid off. My business was growing little by little. It was the early stages. I was laid off. It was 6 months for me, that time to decide what I wanted to do with it, which really prepped and took my business to the next level. And then the same job actually called me back because my then manager was leaving. And so they asked me to take her position. So it's like, look at that. Like,
Look at God. I always say that. I always say, look at God. I am such a very big believer in we are put where exactly where we need to be, exactly when we need to be there. And opportunities that are created for us are created when they're meant to happen. And so we can't rush anything, right? Like
No,
time, again, back to time, right? Time is everything.
yeah, and I know you mentioned God a few times. Like, how important is faith in your life and in your journey and in your business?
So important. I talk to God every day. Like I talk to God when I wake up. I talk to God in the middle of the day. I literally have conversations. I mean, obviously he's not answering, but I do talk to him, and I talk to him as like I'm
God has his
talking to
own
you,
way.
right? He has his own way. But I do have a lot of faith, and I do have a very strong relationship with God. And in my heart, I know that everything that I am and the things that I do are created by Him. Like these opportunities, whether good or bad, the things that happen have a purpose. There's a purpose for me, and I'm just following in that purpose. And every night I say, whatever it is that you want from me, whatever that purpose is, like I'm going to follow you through it. And He does. He puts me in the right path.
And so, how do you take a break and mental wellness? Break.
Honest, for me, it's I like spending time with my family or my friends. Like that's how I disconnect. If I'm like tonight I'm having dinner with friends, tomorrow I'm meeting some other friends for brunch. Like that is my way of like put the phone down, put everything down and just like enjoy this moment. Or I like to go for walks, but like at the mall. I know that sounds weird, but like I like window shopping. Like that also helps me escape things. And I like massages.
So, I know earlier in the conversations you mentioned the word no and hinting at boundaries. Tell me a little bit about what you feel about the power of boundaries.
So boundaries is also something we're never taught to set. We're supposed to be everything for everyone all the time. And it took me a long time to set boundaries and a really long time. What happens, I find when you don't set the proper boundaries is you get depressed. I think a part of you really gets lost in everyone else and in doing for everyone else. And setting boundaries is difficult because it's saying no to something or someone else. And that is hard. You never want to say no, but they're important for you because they are what's going to keep us going, what's going to keep us clear, what's going to keep us healthy, and what's going to bring us happiness. And I found that the day I started setting boundaries in all aspects, whether it's at work or in my personal life, things changed and for the better. But what also happens when you set boundaries is you lose people because not everyone is going to know or want to know this new version of you that is now setting boundaries for themselves. And so the people who can't deal with those boundaries and who can't understand those boundaries, if they choose to go away, that's fine because those people didn't genuinely care about your well-being. They cared more about themselves.
What
And
they
so
were getting.
setting boundaries, what they were getting from you. Yeah. So
Mhm.
setting boundaries also can teach you a lot about who's in your life and for what reason, right?
Mm,
Because if you set those boundaries and everyone moves okay and everyone kind of like understands what those boundaries look like for you and they're okay with fitting within those boundaries, then great, those are your people. The people who say, I don't like this new version of you. Why are you saying no? Why are you setting these boundaries? Those are not your people. And those people are the ones who take up way too much energy and you don't get the same energy back. So,
mm. And so when you started setting boundaries, did you go through this period of withdrawal from, oh my gosh, no, I have to say yes,
yeah,
period?
you're
That,
unlearning a behavior, and unlearning a behavior is hard. It's your mind, it's a habit, and you literally have to tell yourself, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, right? And you feel bad. Like you feel bad when you say, don't say yes to this thing or don't. But once you get over that, like once you get over the guilt or feeling bad, on the other side of that is like, oh my God, look, like I can actually spend this entire afternoon relaxing, reading a book because I said no to this other event that I didn't want to go to, or having this conversation with this person that I didn't want to have. And you're doing something for yourself and you feel so much better for it. So, yeah, it's never easy. But on the other side of setting boundaries is
sanity.
sanity. Yes, that's the word, Jacqueline. Sanity. You find sanity.
So I'm gonna put you on the spot. Do you find it still difficult to be okay in saying no?
Depends on the person. My mom, I feel bad if I have to set a boundary with because there's that part of us that feels very indebted to our parents. And so sometimes there are things that come up and I'm like, how can I say no? Like, that's my mom, right? And if I'm too tired to do something, you do it. But I would say that's it, Jacqueline. I say everyone else in my life knows that the boundaries are set now and they know it, which is also great. Like once
Love it.
people know that
Yes.
you have these boundaries, they will stop asking. And
Yeah.
then you don't have to worry about saying no anymore because people just stop asking.
I am so happy of having conversations of boundaries. Like I tell people no without blinking. Like I
Mhm.
don't need to think about it. No, that's it. Period. Punto. That's it.
That's it.
So I don't feel bad. That's on you.
Yes.
Because when we start, for me personally, if I try to go to be in their mind, that's a whole different expectation. And it's going to take away from my sanity, from my peace. And I've put so much work into what is my peace, what is my value, what is my non negotiables, that there's no going back. And the place that I was, it was taking so much out of me that it's like, I don't want to go there. And I don't feel bad. And that's where I am personally, that I do not feel bad. I love people. I'm empathetic with people, but one thing has nothing to do with the other. And that's where I think a lot of people just mistaken what the understanding of boundaries is. It's not a lack of being empathetic for others. It's not a lack of being there for others or supporting others. It's a respect of setting ground rules and the respect level of those ground rules between mutual people. And
Yeah.
if people want to say, oh, she's a bad person because she said no, I'm okay with that. Me limpio las manos, that is it. Keep it going.
No, it's true. It's
You know
also
my heart.
exactly, you know your heart, but setting boundaries, you were saying it's also respecting yourself. Like
Yeah.
me setting a boundary for you is me respecting myself and what I'm willing to do or not do.
Yeah.
And so again, like to your point, if you don't like it, then that's okay, and we can just not be friends anymore or have this relationship anymore, whatever it looks like. But it's a huge favor. Like I think when we set boundaries, you choose yourself. That's it over anything else. And that is the most important thing to choose is you.
And so, out of everything we discussed, because we went through a whole lot of different things, what do you think are the biggest takeaways from this conversation today?
I would want whoever's listening to walk away feeling that they understand more like what value looks like or what value should look like for themselves, and to be able to identify areas within themselves where they're not giving themselves value and how
Mm,
to find it. And also to know that our voice in whatever space, in whatever room matters and it counts. And so it deserves to be heard. And finding the power to use it. If you don't have it, it's important to find it.
mm,
And finding it may take time, but it's definitely worth it because there's nothing like being able to say the things that you want to say without fear and without apology. Like, let's stop apologizing because we have a thought. I hate when people say, I'm sorry to interrupt. Don't be sorry to interrupt. You have something valuable to contribute, right? Wait for your time to speak and just own what you're saying. Don't be sorry to say it. And so that's what I would want someone today to walk away with, just understanding your value. You bring value to any room, finding the power to own it and
mm.
walking into it with confidence.
Amen. And is there anything you want to add to that we didn't discuss or anything like that? And in addition to that, share, a little bit about your business, how they can find your business.
I think we had a really great conversation. We can keep talking
I'm
forever.
like on a
And
high that I can keep talking. I can't wait for our dinner right now.
I
Like,
know, like I'm like, we can keep talking. And I could honestly like talk about all of this. I mean, I'm so passionate about the space that I'm in and the work that I'm doing that I love talking about it, especially with women like you. We're very like-minded. We have, I think, the same core values. And so when you find women who are aligned, it's so easy to just have these like really raw and honest conversations. And that's why I appreciate this forum that you're creating for women like us. From the day we met, it was just
I
felt like
know.
we knew each other forever, which is amazing.
Yeah,
Um,
it was super special.
I can't wait to see you again. And just your hugs. Remember I told you, I was like, your hugs feel so like nurturing, I think is the word that I used. But you can find me on Instagram at Anny Martinez, the confidence coach. Instagram I use as a platform for a lot of education. So I give a lot of hints and provide tips on how to manage difficult conversations, step into rooms with confidence. And I will continue to use the word confidence as a state of being. And hopefully people will learn that. And hopefully I can show people that. So you can find me there. I'm also on LinkedIn, just Anny Martinez. On LinkedIn, I also share more corporate like articles and, how to I think Instagram shows the fun part of me, kind of like the very creative, fun part of me. But then it includes like I love fashion, so you'll see like a lot of the fashion side of me and the mom side of me, and then obviously that coaching side of me. So for now, that's where I am. And if you are interested in getting to know me a little bit more, getting to know how you can step into any of these rooms confidently or what your journey might look like in your career moving forward, then you can feel free to go on my website at annymartineztheconfidencecoach.com, and you can schedule a 30-minute complimentary session where we'll kind of just talk through what's holding you back, right, from stepping into these spaces confidently and see if there's a space for us to work together.
Awesome. And that's Annie with a Y,
Yes.
not Angie Martinez. It's Annie Martinez. Okay.
Anny
Did you
Martinez.
get that? Or is that the first?
All the time. All the time.
And then the way you say it is like,
All the time. And growing up in that era, like when she was like on the radio all the time, it's like yes, all the time.
so it's Annie, Anny.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Like you said, we can keep talking forever, but in essence of time, thank you so much for being a part of this. And I know that everything we spoke about has some takeaways, and from our stories to just a lot of the different tips that you shared in between. So I hope that at least one thing they walk away with and that they reach out to you. Definitely connect with Annie, and she's such a beautiful, amazing person. It's not just the business side of her, but she's an amazing person to connect with. So definitely connect with her and follow her. Everything about her will be in the show notes. And yeah, thank you, Annie.
Thank you, Jacqueline. I really appreciate you having me, and let's plan dinner. We have to get
Yeah,
together.
we're definitely going to do that. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Make sure to share, subscribe, leave a comment, download all of the above, and stay tuned for the next episode of Inspired by Jacqueline. Take care.